So for today's painting, I started out a little backwards because instead of an idea and then maybe a vague plan for colors or just an idea and like, oh, I want to use, maybe this should be pink or whatever, I went with no idea of what I wanted to paint at first. I ended up really liking the composition, but I literally just started with, I want something that's gray and purple, which was kind of interesting planning wise. See, I also ended up recording both the transfer over and the color testing because I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to go with the blue and the purple. And I'm not sure how obvious it is, but when I went to transfer it over through my light box of Christmas lights and moonlights and foil and a spare scrapbook paper box, because, well, it works for now. At some point I'll probably get a better one, but this does what I need it to. But when I went to transfer it over, I didn't like the shape of her face. There was just something wrong with it. So when I did the pencils, I changed it a little bit, and I changed the angle so it was more, a profile. And I messed up the proportions of her face, so they're slightly off. But at that point it was bugging me, but it was minor enough that I decided to just go with it. And I ended up liking how it turned out, but her face still is still a little bit annoying. But yeah, I was doing the color tests. The original plan was to just have like a very gray sky with a gradient to black. But when I went to do that and then have her just be, completely in shades of purple, but then I realized I wanted to have a highlight, and that if I did that, she ended up just looking kind of monochrome when I did that. So I ended up adding in the blue and the black gradient instead, because when I went to test that, I just liked how it looked so much better. I also thought about maybe having more yellow in her, but just a little bit ended up being what I wanted to do. See, I also either should have masked off the background or started out in stages, because my first instinct is to get a thin wash of water over everything so I can get nice smooth coverage. Which actually the blue I used was really good for that. It's Core. I got it in Art Snacks last year. And I really like it. Because it flows so nicely. The black is a Soho that I picked up in Austin a few years back when we went to visit grandparents, and I'm not sure if it's because it's like 5 years old at this point, or it's just that, the pigment just acts differently. It's not as smooth, which is why I ended up layering the black so dark on the bottom. Which I'm kind of glad I had to do, because I like how dark the background ended up as opposed to the lightness that I was originally going for. But I think I need to get a new black. Yeah. I'm not sure if it was my gray or my blue that was the problem. Possibly both. Maybe it was the yellow. But with my yellow mix, even if it was just completely dry, the second the gray or the blue ended up on it, it just stained like I would like I feel times I flooded it with water before I gave up, like immediately, and then had it off, and it's still stained. So I ended up covering it with gouache at the end. I didn't record that because there were some issues with my camera battery, and I didn't. And the first paint I was going to use to cover it, it was just dry and ruined. And by the time I had replacements, it was about 12, and I did not want to get my camera set up for, 3 minutes just to cover it. And also because there are small children in this house most weekdays, and I did not want to have to explain to a 5-year-old who likes how mechanical things work, what my lights were for, and what this nice pile of PVC pipe that I used for my camera setup is at the time. So I just painted over that and scanned it, which is why between the end of the video and the scan and the picture I put on there is a little, the color changes a little bit and it goes completely flat in the end, just because I was not going to deal with that for, again, the 3 minutes it took to cover it. I did end up putting a layer or two of gray over the background to help mute it a little bit. It was looking really, really bright, and the branches were going out more than I wanted to. Let's see. I also didn't get as quite when I added in her hair, I messed up a little bit because it looks, it lines up right where her chin would be, except that's not how it would work. So I think I needed to add her hair go a tad lower, but again, just minor things that bug me, but probably aren't really that noticeable. I think I want to do voiceovers for paintings just because it's easier for me to edit. They should be less rambly most of the time. It's very early right now. Yeah. And also, I started talking about this, and now I'm like, I don't know what else to talk about. There's only, 20 seconds left. Yeah. Oh, here is about where my camera battery died. And here is the finished piece. I actually really